We've all been there, haven't we? Waking up from a dream that just, well, it won't shake off that
Right.
sort of lingering dread, or sometimes just a really strange, specific feeling, that whatever just happened in your sleep, it wasn't just random noise.
Right. It felt like something deliberate, like a dispatch.
Exactly, like a message slipped under the door while your conscious mind was offline.
Yeah.
So today, we're going to try and explore that hidden terrain. We're really digging into what one foundational thinker called the royal road to the unconscious.
Oh, direct path.
A direct, unavoidable path, yeah. And the goal here is to figure out why the truth, the memory, and maybe especially the desires we don't want to admit to, why they're stored in this really encrypted language.
A language we spend our waking lives trying to, well, unlearn or ignore.
Right.
And we can start right there, at the threshold. I think the source material uses this really useful metaphor, doesn't it? The idea of a door.
Yeah, the door. Tell us about that.
Well, it's not some grand entrance. It's described as narrow, wooden, maybe a bit warped. And it only seems to appear when our conscious grip on reality loosens.
Like in sleep or maybe daydreams.
Exactly.
It's the point where let's call it the internal sensor, finally takes a bit of a break.
Okay.
But we really need to stress, this isn't the literal door you find in a hallway. It's symbolic. It represents the place where our whole mechanism of repression lives.
Repression. Got it. And approaching this door, the description is really sensory, isn't it?
Very much so.
You hear the creak, feel a draft, but especially the smell. It's described as this confusing, layered scent.
Not just musty or old.
No, it's personal history somehow. Like your grandmother's hallway, maybe that specific smell of school glue.
Or even something sharper, like the metallic tang of blood from a scraped knee you weren't allowed to cry about.
Wow. Yeah. All these fragments, these charged memories, kind of compressed into one signal.
And those sensory details, they're like the unconscious mind's calling card, because they bypass our logical brain.
So the door itself, then, is repression.
That's the core idea. And it's so important to get this. Repression isn't just forgetting something passively. It's not like letting something slip your mind.
It's active.
Very active. Think of it as muscular, relentless. It takes energy for the mind to do this.
Like emergency surgery.
Exactly like that. When an emotion or memory, maybe forbidden rage, deep longing, shame, guilt, is just too much to handle consciously,
The mind just cuts it out.
it cuts out the emotional tumor, essentially to keep you functioning. It's a survival tactic, pure and simple, high stakes.
Okay, so the mind performs this, well, life-saving surgery. But then comes the paradox, right? This is why we get those repeating, sometimes awful dreams. Because the repressed stuff doesn't just vanish.
Precisely. Doesn't die. It festers. It mutates down there.
Behind the closed door.
Right. And because the door is shut, it can't come back as a clear memory or a straightforward thought. Instead, it returns as a symptom.
Like unexplained anxiety, or that knot in your stomach.
Could be physical tension, panic attacks, and of course it returns as a dream.
And when you finally manage to peek through that door in the dream state, you don't find just a dusty old room.
No, you find a theater.
A theater.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, or maybe unsettling, is that you're simultaneously the audience watching the play unfold.
And the actor in it.
And the actor.
Yeah.
You're the victim and the villain. It's the entire cast of your suppressed history, all performing on stage.
Wow. Okay, so if there's a stage and a cast, what's the play about? What's the script?
That leads us right to a core idea in psychoanalysis. Dreams are fundamentally wish fulfillments.
Okay, hold on. Wish fulfillments, but what about nightmares? The ones where you wake up absolutely terrified, shaking. That feels like the opposite of a wish.
That's the crucial paradox. The wish being expressed is often so powerful, so volatile, maybe so shameful to your waking self.
That it can't be shown directly.
Exactly. Your conscious mind would probably fragment if it experienced the raw wish directly. Imagine a raw wish for, say, total destructive revenge, or maybe for complete abandonment. Just fell straight up.
Too much.
Way too much. So that's where dream work comes in. Think of it as the unconscious mind's disguise artist.
Okay.
It takes the raw material, that forbidden wish, and it sort of cools it down, makes it presentable, using various techniques like condensation.
Condensation sounds technical, but you're saying it's elegant.
It really is. The mind blends several different charged memories or people or ideas into one single dream image.
Like a psychic smoothie.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything gets mashed together so you can't easily pick out the individual ingredients, the original sources.
Okay. And what about displacement?
Displacement is about shifting the emotional intensity. The strong feeling you have about person A, which might be dangerous to express, gets attached to person B, or even an object in the dream.
So you feel the anger, but it's directed at something safe.
Exactly. It's all about arrangement, making the material bearable enough so you can look at it, even sleep through it, without completely waking up in horror.
Let's try and make this really concrete.
Yeah.
The source material gives some powerful examples, right? Like the falling dream.
Ah, yes. The classic.
And it's often not falling from a cliff, like in the movies. It's falling from somewhere safe, like falling out of bed.
A place of safety, control, maybe intimacy.
Yeah. And falling into this bottomless darkness. So on one level, that feels like terror, right? Fear of consequences, fear of the identity you've built just collapsing.
Absolutely. That's the ego's terror. But if you lean into the surrender aspect of falling endlessly,
Meaning?
well, the fall is terrifying, yes. But the fact that it's bottomless, there's also a strange kind of relief in that. Maybe the dread isn't just about falling, but about the potential relief of finally letting go of that rigid control.
So the wish is actually for surrender, freedom from having to hold it all together.
That's one way to look at it. A wish the conscious ego finds terrifying experiences as collapse.
That reframes it completely.
Okay.
And the other one, even more visceral maybe, the teeth dream.
Oh, yes. Those are disturbing.
And not necessarily losing them, which is common, but the ones where they're multiplying. Your mouth is suddenly overflowing with sharp, crowded teeth. It feels aggressive, primal.
Yeah, it's a powerful image. Traditionally, teeth are linked to, well, agency, power, maybe aggression, the ability to bite back.
So being overrun by them, is that feeling consumed by your own anger? Or maybe fear of losing your voice?
It can be linked to those anxieties, yes. Fear of losing power, sometimes called castration anxiety in classical terms. But again, if we look for the wish underneath the nightmare,
What's the unconscious trying to say?
maybe it's a desperate plea for assertion. Like the unconscious is screaming, bite, care, speak up, eat, stop swallowing your rage, stop silencing your own hunger.
So the wish is for your own raw power, but it's framed as a nightmare
Because the ego suppressed that very power in the first place, finding it unacceptable or dangerous.
This leads us nicely into the defense mechanisms, doesn't it? The guards, the ego posts.
Exactly. The ego, think of it as the overworked manager of your psyche. Its primary job isn't uncovering truth. It's functional survival.
Keeping the ship afloat.
Right. It can't let the truth breach the hull if that truth feels threatening, so it deploys defenses. Sometimes you could even call them lies it tells itself.
Okay, let's break down a few key ones. Projection. This feels like a big one in everyday life. How does that work?
Projection is, well, classic. You take an internal feeling that you find intolerable, let's say intense hostility you can't admit to, or maybe deep insecurity, and you essentially fling it outward.
So you don't feel hostile, the world feels hostile?
Precisely. You walk into a room and know everyone is judging you, or every interaction confirms how critical or unfair people are. The hostility or inadequacy is yours, but you experience it as coming from out there.
A very effective way to avoid owning it, I guess?
Effective, yes, but really damaging to seeing reality clearly. And closely related is displacement.
Okay, displacement. This is where the feeling is real, but the target is wrong.
That's it. Give us a common example.
Okay, imagine you carry this deep, maybe decades-old anger towards the parent who let you down, but confronting that feels impossible, too dangerous.
Right, so that emotional charge, that energy needs to go somewhere.
And instead of dealing with the parent, you, I don't know, explode at your kid for spilling juice. Or send a furious email over a tiny mistake at work.
Perfect example. The intensity of your reaction is completely out of proportion to the trigger, the spilled juice, the typo.
Because the emotion isn't really about the juice.
Not at all. The emotion is authentic, it belongs to that past wound, but the child or the colleague is just a safe stand-in, a convenient target to absorb the historical pain.
That really does sound like running old software. Okay, what about the one that seems like the complete opposite? Reaction formation.
Ah, reaction formation. This is the psychic conversion. Basically wearing the exact opposite of your true feeling like it's armor.
Can you give an example?
Think of someone who feels profoundly insecure, deep down, maybe worthless, but outwardly. They perform this flamboyant, almost aggressive overconfidence all the time.
Or someone going through intense grief who just cracks jokes constantly, maybe inappropriate jokes.
Exactly. They feel the despair, the weight, but the defense is to constantly deflect with humor, refusing to let the real emotion land or be seen. It's exhausting to maintain,
for them and everyone around them, probably.
Definitely. And all these defenses, they often work together, and they culminate in what we call resistance. This is the subtle, silent saboteur of any attempt to look inward.
Right. We often just think, oh, I'm being lazy, or I just don't have the willpower to journal or meditate today. But it's more than that.
Much more. Resistance isn't laziness, it's an active protector. Think about it. You have a really vivid, maybe disturbing dream. You decide to sit down and explore it, and suddenly you have to alphabetize your spice rack. Right now.
Or clean the entire bathroom. Yeah, I recognize that urge.
That's the ego remembering, on some level, how painful it was to feel the original truth that the dream was touching on. So it throws up distractions, busy work, anything to keep that door shut tight.
It's a prison, but it feels safe because it remembers the cost of feeling that pain.
It's a prison built for protection, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the energy driving all this, the defenses, the resistance, it almost always goes back to our earliest experiences. We have to acknowledge, really, that childhood is the operating system.
Oof. Yeah. The way you react to rejection now, or apologize too much, or expect criticism, that software got installed early on.
Which brings us to transference. This is a huge concept, maybe one of the most powerful and sometimes unsettling.
Explain transference.
Transference is the unconscious redirection of feelings and expectations from significant early relationships, usually parents, caregivers, onto people in your present life.
So your boss, your partner, your therapist, even figures in your dreams.
Absolutely. That boss who's always chasing you in your nightmare. It's probably not just about your actual boss. They're likely a stand-in.
A vessel.
A vessel for the unresolved feelings. Fear, anger, need for approval you carry from, say, a critical parent or a dismissive teacher.
So the dream figures are, in a weird way, trying to help by repeating the pattern.
That's the paradox. They're repeating the pattern, not just to torment you, but maybe to finally force you to look at it instead of just endlessly replaying it unconsciously. They want your nervous system to finish what was interrupted back then.
And when you finally stop running, when you get that moment of real insight, it's not just like, oh, I understand intellectually.
No, it's deeper. It's described as a visceral bodily recognition, a moment where something inside you just knows, oh, I'm not just being haunted by these symbols, I'm producing them. I built this maze.
That sounds like it brings huge responsibility.
It does, but also tremendous power. Because if you built it, you can potentially understand it, maybe even change your relationship to it. That recognition is the start of working through.
Working through, leading towards some kind of reunion.
Yes. And the key shift is moving from trying to solve or defeat the dream to simply turning towards it and witnessing it, being curious.
And when you do that, when you stop running from the door in the dream,
metaphorically, the door opens. And often, the figure waiting behind it isn't some terrifying monster. It's the younger you.
The child self.
The child who is silenced, ignored, exiled. The part of you that carries the original wound, and the real emotional integration, the healing, happens in that moment of recognition and embrace. Kneeling down, welcoming that exiled self back home.
That's beautiful. So the dream isn't just a dusty museum of past hurts?
No, it's also a rehearsal space for the present and future. That symptom, that repeating pattern, it doesn't actually want to be eliminated like some error.
It wants to be understood.
It wants its story to be heard. The goal isn't necessarily a cure in the sense of making it all go away, but rather achieving the capacity for witnessing the whole self, shadows and all.
And this is the core shift you mentioned. The psychoanalytic revolution wasn't just about clever interpretation.
Exactly. It was about the power of witnessing, seeing the self without judgment, without needing to fix it immediately. The dream, in this view, becomes an ally. It's an archive, maybe an oracle, and actually the most loyal part of your mind, the part that refuses to let you forget what shaped you.
And if you commit to that kind of witnessing, the dreams themselves can change.
They often do. The symbols evolve. That terrifying falling dream might transform. Suddenly you spread your arms and realize you could fly.
Or the horrifying teeth dream.
Maybe the teeth are spat out and they land on the ground and become something solid, something representing strength or boundaries. Freedom, then, isn't about never feeling pain again.
It's the presence of presence.
Beautifully put. The ability to hold the contradictions, the joy and the grief, the rage and the love, the child self and the adult self, without needing to shut one down, without collapsing.
The dreams will keep coming then. Not to torment, but maybe to remind us.
To remind you that you're alive, that you're remembering, and that you're always in some way becoming.
So the challenge tonight, maybe every night, when that door creaks open in your sleep, is simply, will you stop running this time? Will you turn around, take a breath, and maybe, just maybe, step through?